Swerving across the highway out of control, waving an axe out of the driver's window.
What are you doing? Oh, keep distance, bro.
Out there on the loneliest highways, truckers see things most of us never will. Strange figures that shouldn't be there, vehicles that vanish, and encounters so disturbing they leave you questioning reality. Their dashcams capture what the eyes can't explain, and some of that footage will make your skin crawl.
I tried to flee the situation by taking the next exit, but unfortunately he was able to maneuver and get onto the same exit.
These are not your average road trip stories. These are the 16 most disturbing things ever caught on trucker dashcam footage. It was just before sunrise on February 2015 when these two truckers were driving down a quiet stretch of highway. Their dashcam rolled as usual, picking up nothing but road noise, until a white pickup came speeding out of nowhere. It swerved in front of them, slammed on the brakes, and forced them to stop. At first, the truckers thought maybe the driver had a problem, like a broken taillight, and needed help. But no one got out. Instead, the pickup circled their truck slowly, driving alongside the cab, blocking the lane, and staring them down through the window like he was sizing them up. That's when things started to feel off. The truckers could feel the tension rising. Is he mad about something? One of them asked as the camera caught their nervous back and forth.
Does he think you cut him off or something? I don't know, I think it's fucked up.
They tried to back up, maybe to catch the plate number, but it was too dirty or hidden to see clearly. Then, without warning, the pickup raced forward and rammed the back of their trailer. That hit made everything clear that this wasn't just road rage. This guy wanted trouble. They followed the pickup immediately, trying to shake him off, and finally managed to lose him a few miles down. They pulled over and waited for the cops, who later found the pickup abandoned nearby. The man behind the wheel was eventually caught and diagnosed with mental health issues. But chaos behind the wheel doesn't always come from rage. Sometimes, it comes from recklessness that pushes everyone else into danger.
This heart-stopping video showing a semi-truck crashing on a bridge. The truck left dangling 100 feet above the Ohio River.
It was a busy day in 2024 when a female truck driver headed across the Ohio River Bridge, a major connection between Louisville and southern Indiana. Her dashcam was recording as usual, but what it caught next would shock the entire country. The bridge was packed with traffic when a man named Trevor Branham began tearing through lanes, speeding, swerving, and ignoring every rule of the road. His license was already suspended, but that didn't stop him. As cars moved slowly along the aging bridge, Branham hit a stalled vehicle, setting off a deadly chain reaction. He crashed into an oncoming car carrying two people, then slammed directly into the trucker's rig. Her dashcam captured it all: the sudden impact, the sharp turn, and the horrifying moment her 18-wheeler broke through the barrier and hung halfway off the bridge.
As you can see here, it then dangled nearly 100 feet over the Ohio River. What a dramatic scene.
The cab dangled above the river, held by just a few pieces of twisted metal. For nearly 30 minutes, she sat trapped in the cab, frozen in place as the wind rocked the truck and rescue workers shouted from below. One wrong movement, and the entire thing could have gone over. Somehow, she made it out alive. Branham was later charged with 4 counts of wanton endangerment. However, not every trucker has time to wait for luck, because sometimes the threat doesn't come from a reckless driver or a mechanical failure. It comes from the kind of people who don't need a reason. Back in 2020, this trucker was driving down when something happened that still gives people chills. His dashcam, quietly rolling like always, caught the moment things took a sudden turn. 2 cars with high beams on came out of nowhere and pulled in front of him, blocking his lane and forcing him to slow down. Before he could react, 3 men got out fast and aggressively. Even in the low-res footage, their body language made it clear they weren't there to talk. They motioned for him to step out of the cab. No words were needed. The threat was obvious. Later, authorities confirmed the men were cartel members, though their reason for stopping the trucker remains unclear. On the dashcam audio, the driver's voice came through tight and urgent. "They cut me off. and they're telling me to get out. He radioed a fellow trucker while keeping his eyes on the men. One of them, wearing a black shirt and pacing by the door, was on the phone, possibly coordinating something. The trucker didn't wait to find out. He threw the truck into reverse, tires screeching as he backed up, then swerved hard and made a run for it. Just as he cleared the cars, a rock smashed through his window, likely thrown by one of the men. Shards of glass flew across the cab, but he didn't stop. As he sped off, the dashcam kept rolling, capturing the two vehicles fading into the darkness behind him. Nobody knows exactly what the men wanted, but the whole scene pointed to something far worse than road rage. Thanks to his quick thinking, the driver got away. This trucker's quick reflexes may have saved his life, but not every threat comes speeding at you with headlights blazing. Sometimes, danger just sits there, perfectly still, and dares you to stop. 4:30 a.m. on June 19th, 2022, when a trucker made his way down Jamaica's P.J. Patterson Highway. The road was quiet, and the only sound was the steady hum of his engine cutting through the early morning stillness. Everything seemed normal, until something strange appeared ahead. His dashcam recorded the exact moment a bicycle was suddenly tossed into his lane. Sitting on it was what looked like a person, but maybe it wasn't. It could have been a dummy or a pile of blankets arranged to look like someone. Whatever it was clearly placed there on purpose. Most drivers would have slammed the brakes, but not this one. The footage shows him leaning forward, gripping the wheel tighter, and making a split-second call. Instead of stopping, he kept going. The front tires crushed the bike, the sound of metal twisting and cracking echoing through the cab. A few seconds later, the dashcam facing inside the truck caught him shaking his head and letting out a low, uneasy chuckle. It wasn't a laugh. It was the kind of reaction that says, "Nice try." In Jamaica, setups like this are often used to rob drivers. They fake accidents or block the road, knowing most people will stop. Then, hiding nearby in the dark, the real criminals wait for the perfect moment to strike. This driver had probably heard the stories, and in that moment, he chose not to take the bait. This Jamaican trucker trusted his gut, and it paid off. But while some criminals hide in the shadows and set traps, others are bold enough to walk right up to your face and demand what's not theirs. Thousands of miles away, a lone trucker in Russia wasn't dealing with dummies or staged accidents. He was dealing with real men. The area was quiet, almost too quiet. His dashcam had already been rolling, and what it ended up capturing was more than just a roadside repair. It was the start of a showdown. As the trucker bent over to loosen the bolts, a small car passed by once, then again, and then again, slower each time. The men inside didn't stop, but the way they stared made it clear they weren't just passing through. The trucker sensed something was off. He stepped away from his truck and grabbed a steel pipe. No words were spoken, but his movements said everything. He was ready for trouble. Eventually, the car pulled over, and 3 men stepped out. One of them, dressed in a tracksuit, walked straight toward the truck with a smirk and a swagger, demanding cash. "You're on our road," he told the driver. "You have to pay to pass." But this trucker didn't flinch.
No problem.
He stayed in the cab and calmly reached for his radio. His message was short and firm. "I'm not paying. Come quick." That was him radioing fellow truckers around. Within minutes, the quiet road filled with engines. Nearly 20 big rigs lined up behind and in front of the bandit's car. No words were needed. The men quickly realized they had picked the wrong target. The truckers walked over and, without hesitation, helped flip the bandit's car upside down, its wheels now in the air, just like the threat it carried, powerless and stranded. Those Russian bandits thought strength came in numbers, until a convoy of truckers showed them otherwise. This next incident is about theft, but the threat didn't come loud and aggressive. It came quietly, smoothly, and in broad daylight. It started like any other roadside stop. This trucker had pulled over on a quiet stretch of road, maybe to check his trailer or deal with a tire issue. There were no signs of trouble, just an empty road and the hum of engines in the distance. But what his dashcam would end up catching wasn't just another part of his workday. It was a bold, daylight theft that unfolded in real time. As the truck sat still, a silver car rolled up in front of it, slowing down like it belonged there. A man stepped out, calm and casual, like someone who had done this before. He took a quick glance around, then walked toward the truck. Here you can see him peeking inside the cab. No one was there. He checked the driver's side, and to his luck, the door was unlocked. Without wasting a second, he climbed in. The dashcam kept recording as the man went through the cab, tossing things aside until he found what he wanted. A small black bag. He grabbed it and bolted, sprinting back to the silver car as if nothing had happened. Just seconds later, the trucker came running into frame, yelling, arms swinging, trying to catch up, but the car was already moving. Then, something odd happened. With the trucker still chasing behind, the thief, now in the passenger seat, opened the door and threw the bag out onto the road. The silver car sped away, its license plate hidden or possibly covered, leaving no real lead behind. The trucker picked up his bag, checking to see what was left inside, but the damage had already been done. The sense of safety was gone. Police couldn't do much with no plate, no face, and no way to trace the car. The only thing left behind was the dashcam clip, a full view of how quickly a moment of carelessness can cost you. No break-ins, no weapons, just a door left unlocked and the quiet confidence of a thief who saw an opening and took it. One moment of carelessness, and a thief walks off with your bag. But sometimes, it's not just what's inside the truck they want. Sometimes they want the whole truck. Back in 2022, what started as a normal workday for one trucker quickly turned into a nightmare that played out on camera. At an unknown location, 3 men approached his parked rig, moving with the kind of quiet confidence that suggested this wasn't their first time. What they didn't know was that a dashcam inside the cab was rolling the entire time, quietly uploading everything to the cloud as they made their move. In this video, later posted online by the truck's owner, you can clearly see the thieves as they open the door and climb into the truck. No masks, no rush, just calm, steady movements like they had all the time in the world. Their faces are in full view, and the dashcam doesn't miss a single second. The footage shows them getting out and inspecting the truck, still unaware that they'd already been caught on camera. The truck's owner, devastated and desperate, took to social media. He posted this video clip on X, hoping someone would recognize the faces. While the footage gave the internet a clear look at the thieves, the story took a turn no one wanted. The truck's location was never confirmed. Whether it was scrapped for parts, sold off, or hidden away, no updates ever confirmed its return. The worst part? Sometimes even catching their faces on camera isn't enough. Because when hijackers come prepared, with signal jammers and zero hesitation, not even the cloud can save you. In 2024, under the hot glare of the South African sun, this trucker found himself living out a nightmare on the open road. His dashcam, quiet and steady, recorded every moment as a group of 3 men suddenly approached. Their faces weren't hidden, and their actions left no doubt. They weren't there to talk. One of them walked straight to the cab holding a device in his hand. It was a signal jammer, the kind used to block tracking systems. Without saying a word, he flipped it on, cutting off any chance of backup finding them. Here, the trucker is trying to stay calm, even as panic crept into his voice. He raised his hands, begging the hijackers to take whatever they wanted. "Take anything," he said, barely holding it together. "Just let me walk." But the hijackers weren't interested in making deals. One told him to stay quiet or he'd be shot on the spot. They didn't drag him out of the truck. They kept him inside, possibly knowing police were more likely to stop a truck with no driver than one that looked like it was still on a delivery. As the truck started moving again, the camera kept recording from the windshield. The men told the trucker to hand over his phone. They knew exactly what to disable and when to do it. Once the phone was gone, the trucker had no way to call for help. No GPS, no signal, no lifeline. The video ends with the truck rolling down the highway, the cab still full, but the future uncertain. The clip, later uploaded to X, went viral. But no one could say what happened next. Did the trucker make it home? Did the criminals dump him somewhere? Or worse? No answers came, just silence and fear. But sometimes, it's not criminals that make the road deadly. It's Mother Nature herself. And no amount of preparation or begging can stop what's coming when the sky decides to turn against you. Back in 2021, while Hurricane Ida ripped through Louisiana and made its way up the East Coast, the storm's fury didn't stop at flooding or high winds. it brought something even more terrifying. In the small town of Ham, Pennsylvania, a trucker unknowingly found himself in the direct path of a tornado. His dashcam, mounted and rolling, caught every second as the weather took a sudden and violent turn. The truck was stopped at a traffic light. The signal turned green, but for some reason, the driver hesitated. That single moment of waiting may have saved his life. Just as he stayed still, the wind picked up sharply. On the footage, you can see tree branches starting to whip sideways and debris lifting off the ground like something out of a disaster movie. What looked like an ordinary day quickly became something else entirely. The sky darkened fast, and within moments, the scene outside the windshield became hard to make out.
Water begins to enter some basements. Impact at 10.0 feet.
Then came the worst part. The trailer started to lift, then the whole truck tipped. The dashcam, still recording, came loose and tumbled across the cab. The screen caught a glimpse of the driver, seatbelt tight across his chest, bracing himself with both hands as everything around him shook. Somehow, the driver made it out with only a few scrapes and bruises. And just when you think nothing could top a tornado flipping a truck like a toy, nature finds another way to remind us who's really in charge. This time, it wasn't wind or water, but silence, darkness, and a single falling tree that nearly turned a routine drive into a deadly crash. It was the night of October 29th, 2013, and somewhere on a remote stretch of Russian highway, a lone trucker was making his way through complete darkness. The road ahead was empty, the sky above offered no moonlight, and the only thing guiding him forward was the glow of his headlights cutting through the black. His dashcam was quietly recording, as always, but what it caught that night would be anything but routine. Out of nowhere, the headlights picked up a sudden movement, just a blur at first, then the unmistakable shape of a massive tree dropping from the side of the road, crashing down right in front of the truck. There had been no warning, no strong winds, no obvious signs of rot or instability. The tree simply gave way and fell, as if the road had invited it. The dashcam captured every second. The quick flash of wide eyes, the snap of thick branches hitting the asphalt, and the driver's hands yanking the wheel in a split-second decision that likely saved his life. The truck didn't have enough space to fully avoid the crash, and the front end struck the tree with a loud crunch. But thanks to the driver's control, he avoided swerving too hard and spinning out into the ditch or oncoming traffic. For a moment, the footage goes shaky as the truck shudders from the impact. The camera holds steady just long enough to catch debris flying up from the road and branches scattered across the windshield. Everything happens in seconds, but the intensity of it feels much longer when replayed. One moment, it's a tree crashing from nowhere in the dead of night. The next, it's broad daylight, clear skies, and still, disaster finds a way to strike. Because sometimes, the scariest part isn't what nature throws at you. It's what happens when human-made giants suddenly fall apart. It was just another workday on April 15, 2020, when a trucker rolled into the Androscoggin paper mill in Jay, Maine, his dashcam quietly recording as he lined up to deliver a load of wood. The skies were clear, the engine humming steadily, and everything pointed to a routine drop-off, until, in a matter of seconds, that normal scene was shattered by a massive explosion that erupted without warning.
It was just 2 years ago an explosion at the mill forced the company to stop making pulp for its specialty papers.
The camera caught the exact moment the mill went up. An enormous blast sent thick clouds of dark smoke and debris high into the air, swallowing the mill and rushing toward the truck like a wave. The dashcam footage showed dust filling the screen, broken pieces of metal and wood raining down, and a heavy shockwave rattling the truck's frame. On the radio, the voices of stunned workers broke through the static, one of them yelling, "Everything's gone there! The whole building blew!" as panic set in. From the driver's seat, you could hear the disbelief in his voice as he tried to make sense of what had just happened, backing the truck up slowly, then speeding up once he realized how close he'd come to being caught in the center of the blast. Despite how violent the explosion looked, no one inside the building was seriously hurt. That outcome was credited to strict safety rules and a bit of luck, since many of the 175 employees had already moved to safer areas inside the plant. Later investigations showed that the cause of the explosion was a pressure vessel that failed due to a weak weld, something small that ended up causing a massive disaster. From the ground shaking with the shock of a massive explosion to the sky cracking open with an unimaginable descent.
And that is what caused the explosion and consequently a fire on the roof of the mill, which was quickly extinguished.
Sometimes it's not just what's beneath you that can change everything. It's what falls from above. 9th February, 2024. As this trucker was making his way down the busy stretch of Florida's I-75, his dash cam quietly rolling as he moved with the traffic like any other day. The skies were clear, the road steady, and nothing in the scene gave the slightest hint that something unimaginable was seconds away from crashing into it, literally from above. As the dash cam played on, a sudden blur in the sky came into view, and before anyone could react, a private jet came falling out of the air, its nose tilted downward, clearly in distress.
Captures the moment a plane crashed onto I-75 and burst into flames on Friday.
In the blink of an eye, the aircraft slammed into the edge of the highway, bursting into flames as it hit the ground, sending thick black smoke and broken metal flying in all directions. The footage captured the explosion as fire spread across the roadside, just yards from moving cars and stunned drivers. The trucker's view, locked in by the dash cam, gave a full front row seat to the moment the plane came down, showing the stunned reaction of nearby drivers as they hit the brakes, swerved, or froze in shock. The camera didn't flinch as the wreckage burned, twisted pieces of the jet lying on the shoulder, emergency lights flashing in the distance, and the road that had been busy only moments earlier now turned into a scene of chaos. 2 of the 5 people on board the jet lost their lives in the crash, while the other 3, against all odds, survived the fiery impact. Investigators later traced the cause to a mechanical failure during the plane's approach to a nearby airport. But none of that technical detail could erase the fear carved into the faces of those who witnessed it up close, especially the trucker whose ordinary trip had suddenly placed him a few feet from disaster. From witnessing a plane plummet out of the sky to a deadly crash unfolding just feet away, sometimes danger comes in ways you least expect. And just as suddenly, the road ahead can turn into a battlefield of ice and glass. As trucker Josh Keating made his way down Route 78 toward Allentown, Pennsylvania, the road ahead looked calm, just another stretch of highway dusted with the leftovers of a winter storm. His dash cam was recording as usual, picking up the hum of the engine and the slow crawl of traffic around him. But what that camera ended up catching was far from routine. Out of nowhere, a solid sheet of ice came flying straight toward the truck. It likely broke loose from the roof of a vehicle up ahead, and there was no time to react, no chance to avoid it. The chunk slammed into the windshield with a violent crack, sending glass flying everywhere. The dash cam, still rolling, showed the exact moment of impact. Josh's hands shot up to protect his face as the windshield exploded inward. Tiny shards of glass covered the dashboard, and the cab was filled with shock, noise, and sudden fear. Josh later told WNEP, "I had an angel with me, and watching the clip, it's hard to argue with him. He walked away with only cuts and bruises, but anyone who's seen that ice hit the windshield knows it could have been much worse. Things are getting weirder, but buckle up. This next one, it's the stuff of nightmares." In the early hours of March 11th, 2023, just past 4 a.m., this trucker made his way down a lonely stretch of highway in Arizona. The road ahead was empty, the sky still dark, and the only sound was the steady hum of his engine cutting through the quiet. It was one of those moments when everything feels still, when the world seems paused, but that calm was shattered by something no one could have expected. The truck's dash cam was rolling when something strange came into view.
All right, take a look at this one. A truck driver in Arizona says that there were no cars in sight when his dashboard camera captured this.
On the side of the road, a faint figure appeared. It wasn't a person, and it wasn't an animal. It was something in between. Almost see-through, its shape glowed faintly in the beam of the headlights. It didn't move like anything living. It didn't run or walk. It just drifted. The trucker didn't stop. He kept going, maybe too stunned to react, but the dash cam didn't miss a second. It caught the figure as it hovered for a moment and then vanished into the darkness. The footage, later posted by The Sun on X, quickly made the rounds online. People couldn't stop talking about it. Some swore it was a ghost. Others said it was just a trick of the light, maybe fog or a camera glitch. But there was no fog that night, no reflective signs or headlights behind the truck to blame, and the shape was too defined to dismiss so easily. It looked like something, or someone, standing just outside the edge of what we understand. But strange occurrences don't always come with a clear explanation, and sometimes the road is just as mysterious. In another ghost encounter, this happened early hours of January 3rd, 2023, around 4 a.m., a trucker was making his way down a dark, empty highway. His headlights lit up only what was directly in front of him, and the silence of the road gave no hint that anything unusual was about to happen. With his dashcam recording, the drive seemed routine, until something strange appeared out of nowhere and completely changed everything. As the truck moved forward, the dashcam picked up something odd sitting directly in the road. It wasn't moving. It wasn't shaped like any animal, person, or object the driver could recognize. It just hovered there, still and silent, as if time had stopped. When the driver later talked about the moment, he explained that what he saw with his own eyes didn't match what the dashcam recorded. From a distance, it looked like a deer, or at least something shaped like one, but the closer he got, the more it changed. Up close, he said it became something he couldn't explain at all. It didn't move, didn't flinch, and didn't make a sound. The footage later surfaced on social media, where viewers watched as a faint shape, barely visible in the grainy night video, floated in place for a few seconds before vanishing without a trace. There were no headlights behind him, no sign of another vehicle, and no clue left behind on the pavement. It was like the thing had appeared just for that moment and disappeared the second it was seen. Still with us? Good, because the final clip is pure nightmare fuel. It was just 5 a.m. on July 29, 2016, when a trucker heading toward the UK port in Calais, France, began what seemed like another early morning haul. The streets were mostly empty, and the sky was still dark as his dashcam recorded the quiet, empty stretch ahead. But that calm was quickly shattered. As he followed another truck along a narrow road on the outskirts of the city, the vehicle in front suddenly slammed on its brakes. Confused, the driver hit his horn, only to see something deeply unsettling appear in his headlights. From the shadows, a group of people stepped onto the road, some holding flashlights, others carrying sticks and stones. They weren't just crossing, they were setting up a blockade. Tree branches, broken wood, and debris were quickly dragged into the middle of the road, forming a makeshift wall meant to force trucks to stop. The dashcam caught the moment. Instead of slowing down, he pressed forward. The footage shows the truck pushing through the barrier, branches snapping and flying off the grill as the wheels crushed the blockade beneath them. The driver knew the unspoken rule shared among truckers in the area. Stopping could mean being surrounded, and once that happened, the situation could get out of control fast. In those years, Calais had become known for desperate attempts by migrants trying to cross into the UK. With legal paths cut off, some had turned to trucks as their only hope, trying to climb inside, force a stop, or create enough confusion to slip aboard. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.